YouTube now as well.
Okay, can you see the countdown?
Yes, I can see the countdown.
Okay, cool. Apparently you can share a single Chrome tab. I didn't know that. So, yeah, this is I'm pretty excited. Now, when this turns, I just want to warn everyone, it will turn. It'll be like slightly broken. The button will appear, then it'll refresh, and the button will look better. But there's something about the way this countdown timer ends that's a bit wonky. Which said more important things to take care of. But yeah, and then I can also just open the tab of sale.foundry.com. And that's where this link will go. And as this says, you're a little too early. The sale will start at noon. You can see June 18th.
You're only sharing one tab
at
the
right.
moment, so I think maybe just
I
close any other
so
tab.
quickly.
Might not be relevant. Banish
let me
that
just
other
share my
tab.
screen. I'll just share my whole screen because I have banished everything that is sensitive. Yeah, so if you go to the sale right now, you'll just see this, and this as well will change when the timer hits 0.
We don't see anything at the moment, Trevor.
Oh, what? It says it's sharing my entire screen. Let me stop and restart. Anything yet?
No, I see you now. Oh yeah, there we go. I see your screen. Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
right.
So I'll keep these 2 tabs open, and we'll see. Just keep an eye on this one.
Okay. So in the last 3 minutes before we start, let me just repeat for the guys who are not aware. So we're basically building a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization that hopefully will act as a sort of venture capital fund for projects that live predominantly on the blockchain and that are very pro financial freedom and financial liberty. And that we are selling tokens in that endeavor. So the way that our sale works is it'll have a bunch of small auctions. There are going to be 2,000 small batches auctioned off over the next 19 months. And we are starting small and slow so that we don't like blow up out the gate and burn all the resistors and the safeguards and all that kind of stuff. And also so that with lots of these types of models, people sometimes put down way too much money in the first auction, and then they don't really like see value for quite a while. So we figure if we rather do it slowly and slowly like build up awareness of the project, then there's a lot more value that way that can go out. And also, people can over time decide whether or not we are horrible scammers or if we're actually building stuff of value. So that's part of the reason why we're doing it that way around, and that's kind of what we're doing. Logan, do you want to add anything to that?
Nope. Well, I mean, just a small thing, which is to say, when you're going slow, just what we mean by that is in terms of marketing. Yeah, we haven't really marketed this really at all, other than trying to get listed on some ICO sites, and yeah, but that's fine with us. And yeah, I'm kind of maybe just repeating what you're saying, but we're doing it for 19 months, partially because the biggest question I think for any ICO is it a scam? Well, and that's the first question. The second question then, of course, is like, is it going to be useful and all that kind of stuff? But those questions, I think, if the sale is 19 months long and people don't want to buy in today because those questions aren't, satisfactorily answered for them, then we can just wait, and we'll be building throughout the whole time. And I think we already have 2 products that are working, and they can see as we iterate them and market them and build governance and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how the sale will go at the beginning in terms of interest, but I'm not too worried either way. Yeah, that's my thoughts there.
Okay, cool. All right, so and then we have 30 seconds left on the timer.
Now, Skulk, I'm kind of new here. What does one want to do? I mean, I know you a little bit. I trust you. I want to give you $100. How do I do it?
Okay, so we'll as soon as this timer ticks down, Joel, we will run through the process of exactly how to do that.
what's your expectations? Are you looking for 100 rand, 1,000 rand, 10,000 rand, 100,000? What's your kind of expectation? How does it? What do you
Okay,
need
well,
to get this thing going?
Let me. I'm going to make a note of your question, and then we'll actually answer that in a second. All right. So our sale is live, people. Our sale
It
is
is
actually
live.
live. Bucket
That's
Zero
right.
is up and running.
Yep.
Okay.
About 7 hours left.
Right.
Very exciting. And I was nervous when I clicked on that. I was like, please don't break. And it is not broken. So that's really cool.
That is.
So a lot of this we've already gone over.
Our software works.
Yeah. So I'll just explain some of this here, just what we are seeing with, and then I'll get into what you can actually do here. This center pane, I think, will become more easy to understand as I actually start using this. But just on the left here, it talks about what has already happened. So 0 Fry has been dispersed in total. That will change after this bucket ends. And then we have over here the future buckets. So you can see there's 2,000 buckets left to run. And then 60 million Fry left to be sold. So each bucket will have, will be selling 1/2000th of that, which then gets you to 30,000 Fry, which will be listed here in the middle once we get going here. So the first thing you want to do here, as we've said elsewhere, we're excluding U.S. citizens, mostly, well, almost entirely, really, just to avoid the SEC coming after us, because the SEC has incredible overreach, and they generally only get pissed off if you sell to U.S. citizens. So this verified jurisdiction, it uses a couple of mechanisms to make sure that you're in the U.S. and then you can't just get around it with a VPN.
You mean that you're not in the U.S.?
Sorry, that you're not in the U.S., yeah. That'd be pretty funny if some anonymous investors made a DAO and only sold it to U.S. and made it explicitly a security just to see what would happen. Anyway,
the opposite of what we're doing, for the record.
Yeah, just for the record, yeah. So then this turned into a connect to wallet button, which means that it worked. So it verified that I'm not in the U.S. I might want to make that clear, maybe in an update that worked. But in any case, okay, I'm going to connect to wallet, and now my MetaMask opens up. Put my password in. The password is just password if anyone wants access to all my funds. Okay, so you can see a few things have changed. It knows I have not entered any bids into the bucket. No one has entered any bids into the bucket. And then it's telling me a bit more information as well. It shows me how much Fry I have, which is 0, and how much Fry is available for me to claim, which is also 0. So I will now. It's funny because I'm a U.S. citizen, but I built the project. So what do you think, Skulk? Should I put my own money in or not?
I don't think you should put your money in. Let's let's keep it above board here, man.
Okay. All right. So, well, I'm gonna get close to it and just reject the transaction, just so I can explain the process.
Okay. Yeah. I'll actually enter it from my side as well. Then I'm just gonna grab some DAI here in the background, but you continue there.
Okay. So So right now, if I'm the only one who puts money into this bucket, I'll get everything in the bucket. So as I said earlier, every bucket releases 30,000 Fry. It does that no matter how much money it gets, and it splits that Fry based on the proportion of what people put in. So if I put in 1 DAI here, and then Skulk, let's say, puts in 9 DAI, he would get 90%, and I would get 10% of that 30,000 Fry when the bucket ends. So what that means strategically is that if you see a bucket that seems like it's about to end with nobody in it, just throw like 1 DAI or less in there, and you'll get all of the Fry, as long as nobody else tries sort of the same strategy. And so we're not sure if maybe in the beginning there would be a few buckets like this, just because we don't have a lot of exposure. But with enough exposure, that will generally stop happening, and each bucket will typically find, relatively similar prices to the buckets around it. Okay, so here's what I would do if I wanted to put money in. Let's say I want to put in 1 DAI. You can see it tells me a bit more about this. This bar would be more interesting if there was already other bids in there. And it also tells you how your action here impacts the price of Fry. So if I do this, that makes the effective price per Fry to 0.000033 DAI per Fry. So it's a very low price, which makes sense because I'm putting 1 DAI in, and if nobody else comes in, I would get 30,000 Fry. Okay, so then I would say continue. And then there's whoa, that was loud. There is these terms of service. It's a bit of a pain. Just kind of us really trying to cover our asses here.
Logan? Okay, I'll keep going. No, it's fine. Continue.
So I will leave it up to the actual user to read these, or we can go into these later. But once you check these all, then you can confirm and deposit the die. And then here is where if I was going to put this die in, I would click confirm, and then it would execute. But I'm going to reject here because I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm afraid of the SEC. So reject.
I just do want to say that the control mechanism earlier on is a little bit more robust than what it appears here. You will not be able to get to this point if you are actually in the US.
Yes. No, yeah, right. So it checks your IP address, and then it checks a geolocation API, which is a bit different, and makes sure they match. And so now a possible downside to that is that it might, if you're not in the US and you use the tool and the tool itself has some internal issue, it might break. So that's some feedback we're particularly on the lookout for. Our internal testing hasn't really turned up much, but yeah, please get in contact if that's happening and we'll help you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm just waiting for I'm just going to speed up my die transaction on this side. Continue,
Okay.
Logan.
Well, I don't really have much more to say. I guess I could say after I put the die, any die into any bucket, then when the bucket ends, this number will change here, and there will be a button, and it says, and it would say claim all fry. I would click that, and that's what would finally trigger the fry to be minted from the sale and get sent into my MetaMask wallet. So I don't know how familiar everyone here is with MetaMask, but so I have my Ether and I have my die here. And so I would also additionally have some fry. A technical detail is it might not show up automatically because we're still getting registered on Etherscan, which I believe is where this data is pulled from. So I don't need to go through this whole process, but just to give you an idea, if you don't see it immediately, you can go add token here and custom token or search tokens. But we're happy to sort of walk you through that. Yeah. I guess
think what we do have planned for this week basically is for some people to make us a very nice step-by-step walkthrough of the entire process. So for now, I mean, we just want to confirm that it did go live. So our sale, as far as I can tell, is live. Yeah, and I think let me share screen basically because I'm not a US citizen. Yeah, and then I will basically get into this thing. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right, okay, so now if I come to foundrydao.com, so we can now say Foundry and Fry here, we can actually buy some Fry. All right, so here we have the sale interface. All right, if I verify my jurisdiction, it's going to do the multi-check in the background there for me. All right, so I think I'm going to try buy this 10 die as the first buy. Okay, so the first thing is I just need to unlock my die, which is going to pop up here. Not 100% sure why it's off. Here, hold on. Sorry, MetaMask is just being MetaMask for a second here. Oh, hold on. Okay, so unlock some die.
Yeah, and I was able to skip that step because I'd already done it in a previous test run. So you only have to do this unlock die step once, and then every time you come back with the same MetaMask account, it will remain unlocked. All
right. Yeah, all right. So the network is a little congested at the moment. So 14 minutes is a bit extreme. I'm going to definitely put that up for us.
Yeah, and just in case it's interesting, so any dApp you go to that uses DAI or any other token instead of just ETH, you need to do this unlock step. And what that's doing at a technical level is it's telling the DAI contract, you could say the DAI system on Ethereum, that your contract, or that the contract in question, which in this case is our sale contract, you're telling it that, okay, allow this sale to withdraw DAI for me. So that's all that's happening there.
Okay. Yeah, so we're just waiting for this to complete. This is one of the interesting parts about doing demos with the blockchain, is that you're not really sure when you hear back from your, from your server. Okay, cool. So that part is okay. So that just shows that that's now been unlocked. So I want to enter 10 die. I'm going to continue. So, all right. So basically tick all the boxes here, which, if it's your first time, please read these boxes. They basically just tell you what a dangerous idea it is to live on the blockchain. Okay, hold on. All right, so that was just MetaMask basically. And,
yeah, another note. So depending on your browser, when you with any dApp, sometimes when you click on a button that triggers MetaMask, MetaMask catches the notification, but it doesn't pop up like you expect. So with our dApp and with any dApp, if you click something and it's like, oh, nothing happened, just check the little MetaMask icon, and there will be like a little 1 there sometimes, which means MetaMask is waiting for you for something, but it didn't really, tell you in an obvious way. So that's what Skulk was just dealing with there. That's why he clicked the button and they had to go to MetaMask, and he clicked the button twice, so he had 2 transactions there waiting, and a bit of a MetaMask is, I don't know, it's nice because it's a really nice standard. So many people use it, you can depend on users having it if they're into crypto. But it's also, I think, showing its age at this point and probably will be deposed at some point. Okay, that looks like that mined.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we actually have some fry. So, all right, so we see
well,
this.
You don't have fry yet, but you have,
okay.
You'll be able to claim some fry when it's over, yeah.
Okay, so this middle box just indicates to us what's going on, and it tells us you have entered 10 die into this bucket. If no one else bids on this bucket before it ends, you will be able to claim 30,000 fry out of 30,000 fry. So if somebody else enters this bucket in the next 7 hours, then they will be able to, get proportional to my amount plus their amount. They'll get their portion of that 30,000 fry out. And then on the left-hand side here, the moment the bucket closes, it becomes possible for me to claim my fry and pull that out into my wallet.
And why don't you just put something in the enter amount and just show how that changes the interface. So that's what this bar is meant to. The bar sort of illustrates how your bid impacts the bucket, how much you'll be able to claim. So if there's a bucket that already has a bunch of activity, you can sort of easily graphically figure out how it will impact things.
So
and you can see no matter what Skulk puts in, because it's still him, it doesn't actually change anything, because he'll still be able to take 30,000 out of 30,000, but those numbers would be changing if there were other people in the bucket.
Yeah, I can actually demonstrate that quickly as well. I'll just swap accounts quickly. So now I am someone else, basically. So if I say, you haven't entered any bids, so if I basically say 1, it'll tell me that first section, that 1 die is mine, and it'll tell me here that if no one else enters a bid on this bucket, before it ends, you will be able to claim 2,727 fry out of 30,000 fry. So if I made that more, so let's say, for instance, I made that 5, then that's the predictable 10,000, and obviously if I made that 10, then that's going to and so forth. So that's basically how this mechanism works. And
just to make clear what Skulk is demonstrating here, he's changed his MetaMask account, so the sale interface sees him as another person. So Skulk sort of has 2 accounts here as far as the sale is concerned. And in this particular, what the interface is telling him here is like, okay, if you, Skulk B, puts this 10 die in, then you get half, and Skulk A still gets half. So yeah, just to sort of, in case that was confusing.
Yeah, and in the top right-hand corner here, it just tells us how long it is before this bucket closes. I just want to show you guys that the following is also possible, basically. So, due to how the buckets might pan out, it is possible that somebody comes along and irrationally puts in, let's say the fair price of fry was like, this price per fry, for instance. So somebody accidentally made a mistake and they put in 100 die at the end there, because once they've put it in and confirmed the transaction, it's irreversible. What you might want to do, just to avoid, irrational actors to a degree, is you can actually go into future buckets. You can't go into any past buckets. In other words, if this bucket has expired, then the earliest bucket you could enter would be 1, but you could still then skip forward or backwards all the way to bucket 2000. So what you could also do is, if you wanted to spread out your buys over several buckets, you could basically start entering amounts into the other buckets into the future as well, and then you can enter your sales there, and that way basically you're guaranteed of average price over that period.
Right. And so just to summarize everything Skulk just said, let's say you want to put $1,000 in, but you know that if you do that in a single bucket, it will explode the price like 5 times or 20 times. Then you could instead take that $1,000 and spread it over 10 buckets, and then you're only putting $10 in each bucket, which, well, first of all, it doesn't explode the price as much. And I think Skulk's point was also that you average out the chances of somebody else exploding the price, because even if one bucket goes crazy, the other 9 were still, behaved normally, I suppose. It's still generally in your best interest to enter buckets that are about to close, because you have more information about how the price will change. I mean, just to make that point, if you tried to enter a bucket that is only going to end 2 months from now, you don't really know. There could be so much more interest grown between now and 2 months that the bucket 2 months from now, the price has skyrocketed, and you just kind of have to wait and see that happen, because you can't take your bid back out. But suddenly you only own like 1% of the tokens when you expected to own 50%. So that's only to say that generally you can put DAI into any bucket you want, but you're going to be able to reason about the consequences a lot better if you keep it to the buckets that are about to close.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's kind of it for the demo now. I mean, we are live. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then we can just go over into the Q&A session.
Did you notice somebody put 2 DAI in the bucket number 1?
I have not noticed that. Hold on, let me refresh here.
Not bucket 0, but bucket 1.
Oh, did somebody put in 2 DAI into bucket 1? That's freaking interesting. Cool.
All right. Well, we've officially raised $12, 2 of which wasn't from Skulk, so that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna live La Vida Crypto now. Hey.
That's right. We can buy like 4 Big Macs with that. We're rolling in money now. Well, I guess we can't, because we're in South Africa and there's no Big Macs here. Are there?
No, there totally. There's a Mac. You walk past McDonald's every day from my house.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to buy Big Macs anyway. But
yeah, no,
okay.
It's better that way.
Any questions from anyone? Feel free to unmute and speak up, or type in the chat.
Charles had the question of what's our expectation here, and Charles, basically our expectation is only what the market will bear. So if the market thinks that we are useless and we are providing nothing of value, then the market is free to tell us that by giving a very small amount of money. However, on a practical basis, let me just quickly look up what these transactions just cost me on the Ethereum network.
While you're looking that up, let me answer in a different way. So basically, we, rather than try to aim for a specific amount, we just tried to imagine a lot of different scenarios and what that would mean for us. So one scenario is we don't raise any money. In that case, Skulk is going to continue paying my salary, and we continue as we have been going. If we get enough to pay my salary, then we start using that instead of Skulk's funding, which is already a huge benefit, because then our runway changes from a matter of months to something way more sustainable. And so we've sort of talked about these tiers that we're going to use. I think I'll just actually find the link to that and put it in the chat here, so we can all have that. And then I think the highest tier we have is
Logan, you broke out. Logan he's saying things that will never be repeated that are incredibly important, but unfortunately due to the internet infrastructure, we will never know. Hold on, let me just tell him he's frozen.
Skulk?
Yes, sir.
It might be useful to help guys like me that are complete novices. I mean, I know I've got, I lost my Bitcoin wallet that we did about 8 years ago. I still wonder how much that would be worth. But then I've got Ethereum, and I've got everything in a file that's in storage. Okay, so I have to go into my storage, which I don't want to do because now I am now at 0 point. I've only got money. Now, how do I get my money to you? So it might be useful.
So we are going to basically make some videos just in terms of how to move in and out of this thing, and we'll make those available.
You can perhaps use me as an example. If I achieve getting money to you, you would have achieved your objective. If you don't get money from me, then you haven't explained it clearly enough because I'm dumb. So that will be your challenge: getting money out of my pocket into your pocket.
Yeah. Okay, cool. But we'll definitely I'll chat you as well personally. But we'll definitely build like a
dummy's guide to getting involved.
I think they may have nuked Pretoria. Let me just quickly give Logan a call. He's really staring deeply into the void there. A little too deeply, I'm concerned now.
Hey, the router stopped working. I'm not sure if it's still trying to figure if it's out of data or else.
Right. Logan says he's going to be back with us in a second.
Sorry. Okay, bye.
All right, so his router just decided that his live demo is the opportune time to stop working. All right. So any other questions from anyone about kind of like the stuff that we're up to? I know some of you that this might be a strange place to enter an introduction to the project. By the way, we do have a YouTube channel that I will share with everyone here as well. Let me just quickly pull that up. In which we every Friday in this time slot, basically at 12 UTC, we hold a demo day where we explain what we've basically built that week and what's happening going forward. Let me just quickly pop this down for you guys.
So when I cut out, Skulk, did you finish answering? Do you think we answered satisfactorily?
So Han Solo, how will my fry make me rich? Well, Han, here's the idea as to how we basically want to add value to Fry. I'll send you guys the little summary document on how this whole system works in a bit as well. But essentially, the idea is that Foundry is a decentralized autonomous organization, and the Fry token is used for governance of this thing. So you use your Fry tokens to vote how Foundry should behave. So the idea is that Foundry will then receive proposals from the outside world, from teams who are building things, and those teams will come up with ideas on projects that they want funded and how exactly they're going to funnel money back from that project into the Foundry itself. So there are two mechanisms that they can use. The one thing is Treasury has like a little wallet that we call the Treasury, or at least Foundry has a little wallet we call the Treasury, and those projects can then put their incomes into the Treasury. That's the one option. And the other thing that Foundry also has is a burn bot, which basically takes tokens and then
basically fry holders, I should say, can give their fry to a well, okay, there's a few things you can do, and maybe we should talk about the different options. One thing that can happen is that people can propose to do a buyback contract, which is basically, you could sort of think of it like, if fry is a stock, this is like a one-time dividend, where they vote to take part of the treasury, let's say 10%, they put it in a buyback contract, and then anybody with fry can go and buy the die from that contract, and the contract would take the fry, burn it out of circulation, and then give the die out, or whatever other assets are being sold in that buyback contract. So that's always an option. And I don't know if that's specifically what you were talking about, though, Skulk. So maybe I jumped in too quick.
Well, so the question was, how will fry make this guy rich? So we're saying that fry is in no way guaranteed to make you rich. It'll probably create you a lot of liabilities and worry, and greed is a part of the dark side. But if you're very interested in the positive things that Foundry wants to do in this world, like build cool projects, then in that sense, those cool projects could funnel their money back to Foundry. So that was the original question.
Right. And as you're speaking, maybe I could just sort of summarize a more general idea, which is that Foundry has a treasury, and Foundry is controlled by fry holders. So if you're a fry holder, you have a pretty legitimate smart contract-based claim on the treasury, which will, as Skulk says, it will be accumulating profit from all the projects that Foundry owns, which we have two right now, Die Hard and Smoke Signal. They have their own profit models. And so those are being directed to the Foundry treasury right now. And we could create more of those. When I say we, I mean either us, the team, or Foundry and its contractors. Mm-hmm. I think my dad actually had a question there. I think I heard him speak up a little earlier. Did you have something?
My only, not really a question, just an observation, and that was that your other live bidder in your launch went into bucket number 1, and I wonder, maybe that's just a confusion on that person's part, not really realizing that the first one is bucket 0. I don't know.
Well, it should default to bucket 0. So they
must have manually chose bucket 1. Okay, gotcha.
But it could be a mistake too, yeah.
I suspect I know who that is, and they actually want to buy some fry tokens very quickly. You'll see if you. I just had a quick look on the blockchain. They have entered a whole set of contracts, basically. So they've entered a couple of contracts.
When you say contracts, do you mean buckets, or?
Sorry, yeah, they've entered a few buckets into the contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Also, I see there's 9 more die in the first bucket. Bucket number 0, otherwise known as the first bucket. Maybe we should just change. That might be a small change I make. Of course, in programmer parlance, the 0th index would be the first bucket. But anyway, any other questions?
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to sign off now and say cheers. Looking forward to hearing from you guys again. How do you communicate to people like me?
Okay, so basically you can follow us on Twitter. That would probably be the simplest thing. So I'll quickly drop our Twitter account here. Let me just grab it. So it's Twitter. It's @FoundryDAO. Let me give you a quick file. Hold on for me a second. Okay, I'm going to quickly drop that in our chat here. But yeah, so that invitation that you responded to,
okay,
I will drop it in there as well. Okay.
Okay, good stuff. Keep well, and looking forward to participating in your project.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Charles. Thanks for joining us.
Keep well. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Well, yeah, maybe we can end it here. I don't know if there's really much more to talk about. I'm just really happy to have this going. I'm happy. I mean, I'm not only happy to have the sale running, that's cool, and a relief just as a sort of a project management. We did it, and we're starting to get fry holders, and that's good for Foundry. But I'm also kind of excited to move on to the sale goal is like a meta goal, the sale goal helps us get to these other goals or more safely approach them. And those other goals would be, maybe marketing Die Hard or maybe working on smoke signal. So I'm excited to sort of get more to the meat now that the sale is up. I guess it's like I'm excited to start showing anyone interested what we can do now that people can actually participate. And then in the more medium term, I'm really excited to get a community started with fry holders who can really give this thing a life outside of our Team Toast. That's going to be really great for me. I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Okay, well, cool, guys. I think let's end it there then. Thanks for attending the Go Live.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Sorry,
thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.